test one. Is there a motion to declare an open meeting?
I'll make a motion to declare this an open meeting.
Second.
Motion by Jason, second by Bobby. Roll call vote. Bobby?
Yes.
Lisa, yes. Hope?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
And JW?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0, and the meeting is open. We welcome visitors to the meeting tonight. As per law, the Board of Education does adhere to the Open Meetings Act, and a copy of the act is posted on the wall to my right. This meeting has been properly advertised according to the policy in Nebraska Open Meetings Act. We'll take a look at the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Jason, second by JW. Jason, do you have any discussion?
I have a question on the Jim Hills.
Mhm.
What happened to the fitness doors?
They were just wore out.
Were they?
They said, they made the comment that those were some of the cheapest doors they've ever seen. So they must have not been from the factory, very high quality.
Gotcha.
And we actually, I'm blanking on who our door provider is. But we tried them several times, and Hills was the only one we could get to produce a quote. So,
I just didn't know if somebody like drove through them or something. Kind of out of the
no,
woods
they were
lately,
just when it's public use, a lot of wear and tear.
Right.
But,
Makes sense.
And they've actually been there a long time. I mean, almost 10 years.
2012 is more than 10, I think.
Yeah.
12 or 13, something like that.
Yeah.
Garrett
13,
Borcher would have
maybe.
been still in high school.
Like a junior, senior,
Yeah.
I mean, and they turn
That's a long
Well,
time.
it's right on the sign. I think it's 2013. Yeah.
Could be.
That's lasted quite a while.
I had a question. I marked it and lost it. Was it education? Something. I couldn't pronounce the name. Where did it go?
Language you're talking about.
It starts with a B. It was like $23,000.
That's
Yeah.
behavior school,
Oh, okay.
special ed.
I knew it was something, but I hadn't.
It's something.
Yep, there we go.
have a
Right
couple-
there.
We
Okay.
have, it goes by the acronym BEST, B-E-S-T.
Oh,
You know, I've talked various times about how when we have students that their behaviors are, we still have an obligation to educate them. And their behaviors aren't, because of their disability, aren't conducive to a classroom setting. It's what we would refer to as a tier 3 intervention, with the goal obviously of bringing them to a tier 2, which would be back in the building with extra supports. Obviously, ideally, we want to get all students to a tier 1, but we were discussing MTSS today. That's the model there is that 80% of your kids, according to the bell curve, are supposed to function in that tier 1. And then your other 20% are supposed to need some sort of interventions. Now, we tend to find our numbers are a little higher than that, but sometimes that can be a reflection of your demographics too. When you have a little higher poverty, you tend to see a little bit higher numbers.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote to approve the consent agenda as presented. Lisa, yes. Hope?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
JW?
Yes.
And Bobby?
Yes.
Consent agenda approved, 6-0. Public comment or correspondence? So we did get a card from Union Bank. It's the NFIT. So is that the, wait, that's the foundation, never mind. Crossing my jobs here, sorry. Okay, so then, any other correspondence, comments? Hearing none, we'll move to policy committee.
It's the stuff in there, and we've got it on the agenda, so unless someone wants to say anything, I think we'll probably talk a little bit when we get to that. I can talk about it now since this is committee time. So there's been some discussion within the committee for a while now about adopting a policy for opioid overdose type situations. Narcan is what is the brand name of the company that makes the prescription, and it's administered nasal, and it would be in a situation where if you had someone that was in the process of overdosing on some sort of opiate, that it could potentially save their life. And we've been talking about this now for
2 years.
quite a while, but we've really been having some serious conversations since the summer as a committee. And I think we're to a point where we feel comfortable with the language and the approach. And so that would be something they'd propose from the committee. Otherwise, it's pretty much just routine reviews and a few edits. I guess we should let the committee talk if they have any questions or comments.
Just kind of FYI, I know the pharmacy here in town, anybody can go in and can actually get the intranasal Narcan, like anybody can. And I know they have some in stock. I don't know how your plan is about, I know you had talked about going through like ESU and ordering it. But that could be an option.
Oh, absolutely.
to-
We haven't really looked into it yet.
and I don't want to get the cart before the horse, but I haven't gotten down there and gotten my own yet, but I plan to. But that would be another, and it's free. So, I mean, I don't think Narcan is overly expensive, but if it saves $5, it saves
Oh, absolutely.
$5.
That's great to know.
So just FYI on that.
There is an application you have to fill out.
So I don't know if a school would be.
I looked at it just for use, just to have it, just because you just never know. And it's not easy application. Like you have to say, for you it would be different because you're just protecting children. So I don't know, it's not real friendly,
Well,
user friendly,
And Steph might actually, not to put you on the spot, so I won't.
but I will.
But I will.
But no, what I will say is that we have several people that are trained in medical aid, and they have more knowledge than me on how we're supposed to legally have prescriptions in our possession that we can use, like our EpiPen. I think it would be something very comparable to that. And typically, April Johnson has taken care of our EpiPen stuff. I've already been in communication with her and let her know that this is likely coming. So they have a much better grasp on how we can get it. I'm sure that's fine. It's just we probably need to make sure from a procedural standpoint that we're checking the right boxes. just in case. That way we can document and say we went through proper channels to acquire that prescription.
All right, any other questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to administrative reports.
Just so you know, we're kind of in that lull in between months that Mrs. Black has said, I really don't have a lot to report, and I said, the board will probably appreciate having a break, you know, and that, and if we can report when we have stuff, and when we don't, we'll just
Yep,
skip you.
sounds good.
Yeah, and on that note, mine's a little light right now too. I went back and looked just since our last board meeting was December 7th, and obviously in that time frame we had a couple weeks of Christmas vacation or semester break, and then also a few snow days. So I wanted to highlight a few things though, specifically academically, because I feel like I last time was a little light on that. So just starting with academic related professional development. So for staff, we did set aside about half of the day on our professional development day this week, excuse me, for the English Language Arts Curriculum Acceleration Project. And I know Mr. Rottinghouse will probably have something to say about this too. I just wanted to share from my perspective, I don't view ELA as one of my strengths. Areas of strength, and so this has been a good opportunity for me to start to learn about the content, and I really felt like the way that this has been set up with the ESU staff has been really effective so far. The other day we spent time doing some group learning, so there have been shifts in ELA instruction over the last few years, and so we spent some time discussing those shifts and then starting the process where we are creating our own vision for what we want, you know, English language arts instruction to look like here. And so we developed the beginning of that, and at the next time we meet, we'll refine those statements and refine our vision, which is just setting the stage for the following steps. So it's, you know, the same process that we used for math instruction, math acceleration, and I've seen it. I've just felt like it's been very valuable so far. So I wanted to bring that up. Also, we have Engaging Educators coming up. I peeked at it just to give myself a little reminder about what they're offering this year, and you know, they always have a keynote speaker and then some breakouts, and I noticed the breakouts, there was a new one listed for AI, there's one on bullying prevention, and there was a behavior one, MTSS, Hope Champions, so a lot of things that we're focusing our time on are also being presented that day, so looking forward to that. FFA, there's some district contests coming up, leadership development entries, those are the ones right now. Then the state entries are right after that, with National FFA Week, I believe, being in 2 weeks. I'd have to look at that again. I could be off a little bit. Yeah, it's I could be off by a week, but so there's quite a few FFA related events coming up that we all need to make sure we focus our attention on. CTE, Career and Technical Ed, there are things that we're working on right now. A lot of our focus in recent years for CTE improvement's been, you know, in the ag area, specifically with some of the funds that Mr. Rottinghouse was able to dedicate for improvements in the shop and welding. We all know Mr. Bloss does a great job in all of the aspects of his job, and so just being able to provide, you know, some new equipment, some upgrades to the shop facility, those are you know, great additions for him. There are also opportunities for us to focus on another pathway, and so we've been having some discussions. Every school that participates or receives Perkins funds has to go through a revision, refresh process, and Mrs. Blecka and I and Mrs. Gira are going to the ESU for a work day this, I believe it's next week, so we can continue evaluating our other pathways as well. We have a lot of good things in place, and we think we've identified how we can build on some of the things that we already have going to try to focus on an entrepreneurship pathway, at least pursuing that. So there have been a lot of good discussions so far, and there are also some grant opportunities that we can pursue to help fund that. So, Lunch and Learns, Mrs. Bleck has continued to organize these, and they've been, I think, a really nice addition this school year. We had just another one today, and I believe I told you last month that Shane Maloli was coming and obviously presenting about law enforcement. Today, Carmen Rottinghouse came in and presented to the students about career in physical therapies. And we had, we had students that wanted to be physical therapists or PTAs. We had, I think, 25 students sign up for this one. And so, so far, they've been really well attended. It's been a lot. It's the students that have been signing up have been not the same students each time. So I feel like we've really been seeing students that are finding an area of interest with a presenter that's coming and being willing to commit their time to go. I really like that she's done that. I know that she had a hard time narrowing down the list because we wanted to keep it about one per month so we weren't overdoing it. And I know that when we created the list and we were jotting down ideas of people to ask, we went well into next year. And so, so far it's been a really good thing, and I'm looking forward to that continuing. The master schedule, I kind of touched base on that last time, just an update. We went this year are trying to stay about 6 months ahead of where we think we need to be as far as implementation goes. So at this point now, we want the schedule to be functional in about a month. We've gotten all the feedback from teachers, feedback from students, and Mrs. Bleck has assembled a rough draft that we've started working on to try to finalize. So there's still some changes to be made. Obviously, we do our best to be as organized as we can with the schedule, but you know, every year when spring comes around and there's possible excuse me, staffing changes that we weren't, planning for, there's obviously some flexibility we have to have, but we really do always want a pretty solid starting place going into, February. One other thing, we had to reschedule them, but we just had the staff from Brave Bee, the Child Advocacy Center, come down and continue their digital citizenship presentations with freshman students. I just wanted to say, to bring that up because that's the presenters that come from there, it's the same two people every time, and they do a great job of interacting with our kids. And they've made it a priority to continue to come here because they see the value in it. And I can say that sitting in on their presentations, I think it's a very good experience for our kids to have. Activity related, just a couple of things. Obviously, we're in the middle of winter sports now. Well, not so much the middle anymore. We obviously saw a cancellation with Mudecus. That was I think a tough call for those in charge. There was a lot at play. I think everybody did their best to try to get all the games in that they could. So our boys had won a game, girls had lost a game, and neither were able to continue their path there, but have since continued with regular season games. Pioneer Conference basketball is coming up in 2 weeks. And so we have 2 away games next week prior to that. Then the Pioneer Conference Art Show is also that week. That's at Southern. And then Pioneer Conference Band is next week at Lords and Lewiston. So just a kind of a 1,000-foot overview of what's going on activity related. So any questions for me? Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ness. All right, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, so we have enrollment at the top. Still not where I want it, but it is what it is. For administrative items, just a reminder that this is an election year, and which means we have 3 board members that are up for re-election. They are Jason, JW, and Mary. The deadline for these incumbents to file is February 15th, and then non-incumbents would be March 1st. And then that term in this particular 4-year cycle expires January 9th of 2025. So if 3 of you would like to be on the ballot, you need to file prior to, on or before February 15th. I realize that these teacher shortage reports, I think I included them in one of my weekly reports too, but if you wanted a copy, I forgot to put them in the packet, so I printed copies here that'll get sent around. I just thought it was something you might be interested in seeing. It's something Department of Ed has been doing for a few years. And a couple notable things. Of the 310 districts and school systems that completed the survey, there were a total of 908 teaching positions that were unfilled with qualified personnel, and then 361 that were completely vacant. There were also a significant increase in vacancies from 22-23 to 23-24. And so, you know, we were kind of in that situation. Still kind of are in terms of maybe not highly qualified. We have people that are certified but may not be endorsed in the content area that they're teaching. You know, so I just want to make you aware that we're not alone in that, and the problem continues to rise. And I've talked about that before, but there's some data to back up some of my anecdotal thoughts. A couple other things that aren't on this that kind of come about. You know, Derek already talked about the acceleration, the math acceleration and the reading acceleration. The ELA acceleration is what we are calling it. And, you know, I won't get into the details because Mr. Niss touched on those pretty well. I just say that we've not ever done something like this of this caliber in my time here. I just think I can't talk highly enough about the process, and it does help. I think when administration buys into something like this and really pushes it, because I think the teachers see that it's important, and ultimately it's going to result in better learning and better results for the students, and that's going to reflect positively on the teachers, and the teachers want that too. So they want what's good for students, but also they do like to see improved scores. So it's a great process, and I'm glad we're doing it. Yesterday, our kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Pamela Mitchell, submitted her retirement. I didn't put it on today's agenda, but I went ahead and advertised late yesterday after I put it on Teach Nebraska and updated it on our website. She decided she wants to be a full-time grandma at this point, but said she'd stay on her sub list but be selective about taking phone calls. So send people our direction if you know. I do think there might be a little interest, but I haven't got any applications yet. So I'll probably have it on the next month's agenda to formally accept her retirement, and then maybe if we're lucky, we'll have a position we can fill by that time. Some building and ground stuff. VOAG windows are done with one exception. The final window came in. It was replaced with the one, and they came and did that a few weeks ago. They still need to caulk the inside of the windows. They did the outside, and in Tanner, we know we need to get that. They sent us the final retainer, and I said, well, I don't think we're going to pay that until the project's done. And I don't think him and his wife kind of were on the same page there, and they said, yeah, that's no problem. So when that's done, then we'll kind of hold off on that last retainer until that's done, and then that'll go on claims. But otherwise, I think it's certainly a nice facelift to the building. Because of the temperatures, the high school boiler project and new HVAC project for the auditorium is kind of on hold. They were looking at doing that this past Monday is kind of the date that they had held on the calendar, but with the temperatures, it just didn't seem like a safe thing to do to shut off the heat in that boiler room and then have still water lines in there that could be frozen. So we did tell them, no more invasive than this project is into the building and in parts of the building that are not heavily used. We don't see any reason why we can't do that switch over on a day kids are here. So when things start to warm up, I'm sure we'll try to pinpoint a day on the calendar to do that, and then roll in the new RTUs and set them in place. So we were in a position to move there, but it kind of got put on hold with the snow and the temperatures. Just want to let you know I have actually now both Grunwald Mechanical and RUT Heating and Air Conditioning. RUT just kind of give you a little reminder. I think everyone knows, but just to make sure everyone knows, Grunwald is the company that got the bid to do the high school boiler and HVAC project. Rut, that name may ring a bell with you. That's who we started using about 2018 to do the upgrade work on our train system in the high school. Initially, we were bringing in Train to do that work as these systems were going down. They actually did do some warranty work that really wasn't warranty, but like my first year here, so it had been like the spring of 2017, they did some warranty work, actually replaced it, I think, 12 VRF, overhead VRF cassettes and fixed Freon leaks on all 3 sections of the system. After that, of course, we had to start paying for any additional repair. So they did that free of charge with no additional cost to us. But every mistake that's happened, or I shouldn't say mistake, but problem that's happened since then, it's had to, we've had to pay for out of pocket. At one point, about the spring of 2018 to 2019, in that time frame, they were doing some work. They changed the guy that they were using to do our service and repair. He still works for them, but they basically said, we don't want you to work on these types of systems anymore, and they sent us a young kid. Then they ended up subcontracting with Ruts to come in and do the work, and I said, why are we paying their markup? Let's just start using Rut directly, and that's what we've done ever since. Last summer, I think I may have reported on this, I don't know if in a board meeting, but maybe in one of my weekly reports, I said, there's not Reggie Rutt, but his office person, his main person, she and I were having a conversation, says, boy, you've just been paying some pretty big bills to keep this system up and going. Would you ever be interested, maybe when things get a little slower, to have a conversation about just what it would take to maybe bring it up to speed? I said it can't hurt. And so they were here this past, it was last week, I think it was last Thursday they were here. They were coming to Hastings, they were coming from Hastings. They were coming to like Fairbury. So they were going in this direction anyway, and they swung by and kind of walked through. They got some information and gathered. I was able to find the blueprints for that project. But in the meantime, I shared with them what I had shared with Grunwald as well, is that we might be, and emphasis on might be interested in having a conversation again to look at a very economical way to address, look at the boiler in our gymnasium building, which is getting old, and also maybe have a conversation. I know we looked at it under the ESSER's money and it just didn't work out, but maybe have a conversation again about what it would cost with no commitments, but what it would cost to bring air conditioning into the gym. And so we have Grunwald scheduled to come, but while Russ was here, I told them, they seemed interested. Grunwald's is going to come. They're going to both, I think, working separately, they're going to kind of both give us some general ideas, and then we can pull the Building and Grounds Committee together and kind of share what we've found. We can look at that, say, is this something we want to bring to the board? Bring it to the board and have a conversation and say, is this something we want to put out for bid? And we're not on a hard timeline here like we kind of were with the auditorium. It seems like, yes, we've had this conversation few times in the past, once since I've been here, I think at least once prior when Mr. Grizzle was here, a conversation about what it would take to add the HVAC to the air conditioning to the gymnasium. Maybe this is a way to get out in front of some of those problems so we don't have our back against the wall like we did with the boiler. I think the boiler in the high school was 69. This one is original, so it's a 72, 74, whatever year I think it's 72 is what that building is. So it's getting up there. It's over 50 years old, and so we need to give it some attention. So this is maybe a proactive way. And worst case scenario, the good thing here is we're not going to involve engineers. I still have the plans from Advanced Engineering System from when they looked at the study back in 2021, which came in, that was just a bad time to put, we was hoping we can get out in front of the market, but that was just the time in the economy where we were really starting to see the sticker shock of this, 100, 200% inflation that was happening to some materials. And we may have got out in front of some of the schools, but it just wasn't fast enough. And we saw those bids come in at over twice the cost estimate on that project. So the fact that, because we personally invited Ruts to bid on that, and they didn't submit a bid, not because they don't like us, because they had more work than they could do at that time. The fact that they're willing to come out here from Hastings just for the opportunity for a possibility of a job versus having to turn people down means they're getting a little slower, and the market maybe is adjusting. Now's maybe a good time to look at some of that just to see what the price tag might be. So I think a few months ago I shared kind of what our long-term plan is for, crystal ball kind of how we've set away money in the building fund and in the depreciation fund for several years. It is set aside for projects like that. Maybe it's time to at least explore what it would take. And since we're not dealing with federal dollars or anything like that, you wouldn't have the fresh air issues. You could still use, kind of think they might have different philosophies on how to do it, but that's great. Then it would give us some options. But it's nice to have two credible HVAC companies like this that are interested in coming into our building. So just wanted to make you aware that is something I'm doing some very initial information gathering on. And finally, I just want to let you know we did have for this year, it's our first bed bug sweep, and came up, they like to do that when there's not kids around, and so that happened over Christmas break. No issues, which is great. Probably try to hit one more before the end of the school year. I've sent him some dates. I haven't heard back, but just let you know that's not an issue we've just ignored. Kind of want to keep it on a schedule, maybe a couple times a year, just to make sure we don't have anything in the building that could be problematic.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Ridinghouse? All right, we'll move on to 7A, consider accepting the policy committee's recommendations for policy reviews and update as presented.
I'll make that motion to open it up for conversation.
Second.
Motion by Jason, second by JW. Jason, do you have any comment? JW? Does anybody else have any comment or questions? Brian, do you have anything to add?
No, most of these were just reviews. It was pretty simple stuff, other than just the Narcan policy would be the big one. Kind of bring it up to speed, make it match the sample policy, and then meaning the non-Narcan policies, kind of bring them up to what the current version is. So. On the Narcan, so they've got a sample policy that we used, and there was some good comment from board members because, it made reference to school nurses, which we don't have a full-time school nurse, and so we utilize the service unit and then med aides that are basically individuals trained to be able to do the basic on an annual basis. They're trained to do the basic task and be certified to do that in the state of Nebraska. So we added that language and kind of changed some of those elements to reflect what the policy is. But obviously, it's something we don't want to ever have to use. Hope that we don't ever have to worry about an overdose of Narcan. Maybe it seems to some people like something we shouldn't do or shouldn't have to do in a school, and I agree. But on the same side, on the same breath, I would say if we've got an opportunity to protect someone, whether we like it or not, that we have to have that's something we have to think about. Why not take advantage of that opportunity? And so Felicia Martin, who is the registered nurse employed by ESU 4, she has agreed to come and do the in-service for our hourly staff and kind of get them on board. We've communicated with Dr. Niss. Bobby was very instrumental in that. And then, of course, got a couple nurses on the school board here, so that's a great resource. I think we've really talked this, and I feel in a pretty good place, I think, where we feel comfortable with the policy.
Will Felicia train the med aides only, or how
I think
far?
we would, only the people that would be able to administer. Is kind of what we were thinking. Kind of like using the same, and then we would do it on an annual basis, kind of like we do with the EpiPen, which the EpiPen, I guess, is addressed. That might be a conversation we could have. Is that something we would want to address through first aid? I don't know, but at least the people, the office staff primarily. I think for something like this, I wouldn't want to be able to know how to do it, just since I'm in the office. But we'd keep them in the respective offices and have them, and then those people that are close to it would be trained to administer it.
So as an emergency responder, are you trained? Are you an EMT?
I'm not an EMT. Mark Bloss and Deidre Bleck are EMTs. Those are, but I'm not.
So situationally, Deidre's a med person, right? I mean,
I think
I'm
an
just
EMT
asking.
would qualify, but I don't know that. I don't want to say that because I don't know.
Like as far as an ambulance,
I mean, they're not on duty with
no.
I just wondered.
But
That's my only question.
Am I missing the drones and unmanned aircraft policy?
Did it not make it in there?
It's supposed to be 3049.
I apologize if it didn't. You're right. That was one. Yeah, it didn't make it in. Well, it was on our list of things to, I can print copies quick if you'd like. It was something we talked about doing. It's really not anything we've ever had an issue with, but we thought that it might be a good idea to add that, just in case we ever had an issue with people. That's basic, I mean, the gist of it is that if you're gonna put a drone over top of school property, you need to have permission first. They've had kind of those stories where there'd be a high school football game going on. I think that's like the most common issue, and then the folks, would be in there with a drone going over the game, and it's like, well, that's a safety issue, and it might be a privacy issue too, and so.
And it's against the law.
What-
I mean, you have to have
Well, I-
approval to fly in airspace. When I had Trevor come to my Ag Literacy Festival, he had to get permission to fly at the fairgrounds and map out the area that he was gonna fly his drone in, and stuff.
People aren't aware of the regulations with it.
Especially if they have those small kind of hobby ones, they think they can go anywhere, but.
You need FFA approval on the
I think
little
they have to
ones?
be a certain size.
Certain size?
Yeah.
Certain size and what they're using them for.
Don't remember language in it about, aviation administration. Why did that not make it? I apologize for that. But we did have it in our, yeah.
Yeah, it was in our packets. I didn't even realize it was not in there.
Yeah, it makes a reference to, we need, yeah, it does make a reference to FFA regulations, governing bodies, and then superintendent or designee for permission that any, recordings or pictures or things of that nature need to be, have permission. I think it's something, it would be an implied power we have, but if it's in policy, it kind of makes it clear that, no, don't go flying unmanned drones over our campuses.
Any other questions, comments on policy? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote to accept the policy committee's recommendations for policy reviews and update as presented. Starting with Hope,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
JW,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
and Lisa, yes. Motion carried 6-0. All right, so now we move on to conduct election of officers and oath of office. So we'll begin with nominations for president.
I'd like to nominate Jason.
Okay,
Second that?
Jason, second by Hope, or wait, Hope nominated. Second by Mary. Any other nominations? So hearing none, we could do a unanimous ballot. Okay. So I need a motion.
I move to cease nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Jason Vitrowski for president.
Second.
Bobby, was that you?
Yeah.
Motion by Mary, second by Bobby, to cease nominations and cast a unanimous vote for Jason Vitrowski for president. Okay. We will begin with Mary,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
JW,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Lisa, yes, Hope.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried 6-0. Jason's our new president. So he
He
takes
couldn't take over right now.
Feel free to,
I don't want to mess anything up. Okay. I'll continue till we get done and then I'll let you come sit in this seat. All right. So now we'll accept nominations for vice president. I would like to nominate Mary Mosier.
I'll second.
Any other nominations for vice president?
Talk to him, but JW, would you be interested?
Glazed over.
I know.
I guess,
I mean,
I know.
I just want to let you guys know, this will be my last year on the board. I love it. I just think there's young people out there that have maybe more interest. I definitely love coming to school and doing my job here, but I just think we need diversity with now Jason and I working in the same office. I think that would give somebody else an opportunity to add new ideas to the board. But with that, my plan is to finish this last year. So I would serve the board in whatever way you want. But just wanted to give you that disclosure too.
So is that a
So,
motion for JW?
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
So JW. So yes, I am nominating JW for vice president.
Even though I made the first nomination, I will second JW. Both are good choices. Any other nominations? So we have to do secret ballot.
You don't have to. You can do it public, but it's the one time in statute that it's allowed. So
We'll just do secret.
it-
Everybody got one?
I got one. I didn't know.
I don't know.
We'll hand it on one. Sorry.
Yes, you can report.
So we have, I think I have to say no. Off the paper vote, off the secret votes. I think we do. I don't think it actually says, but I think so there are 2 votes for Mary and 4 for JW.
All right, so then we move on to nominations.
I think we have to vote for that.
Oh, shoot.
No, wait,
No.
actually,
Nope,
no,
that
we
was a-
don't.
That's a vote.
No, we don't. That
Yeah.
was a vote.
That
Yep,
was
you
a
are
vote.
right. Yep.
All right, so
wrong.
the JW will be our new vice president. Nominations for secretary.
Who's the current? Hope, are you the current secretary? Well, I will nominate Hope.
I'll second it.
Okay, nomination for Hope by Mary, seconded by JW. Any other nominations for secretary?
I'll make a motion, we cease nominations and cast an unanimous ballot.
I s-
Second.
Okay. Cease nominations and cast unanimous vote. Motion by Jason, second by JW. And roll call vote. Jason,
Yes.
JW,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Lisa, yes. Hope,
Yes.
and Mary.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. Hope is once again our secretary. That opens up nominations for treasurer. I would like to nominate Bobby for treasurer if she's willing to serve.
I will second that.
You just sign a lot of checks.
Yeah, you just practice your signing your name every night. Okay. So motion by Lisa, second by Hope, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other nominations for treasurer?
Sorry.
No, just do what I thought you were
Oh.
gonna do.
Okay. I'll make a
You're ready.
motion that we cease nominations and cast unanimous ballot.
Second.
A motion by Jason, second by JW to cease nominations and cast a unanimous ballot. And we are starting with JW,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yeah.
Lisa, that's okay. Lisa, yes. Hope,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Jason. Jason?
Yes, sorry.
It's okay. Motion carried 6-0, and Bobby is our new treasurer. All right. Come on up, Jason. Let's see, I'll leave a couple things here for you. Need that. Should I have signed checks before? Who signs the checks?
You were president when the motion was made, so yes.
All right. Next thing on the list is to review the board policy 2012 Board Code of Ethics.
I make a motion that we accept the review of Board Policy 2012, the Board Code of Ethics.
Second.
Motion by Hope, second by JW. Roll call vote. Bobby,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Jason, yes. JW,
Yes.
motion carried 6-0. Consider approving the board committee membership for the 2024 as presented or amended.
I move we accept the school board committee recommendations for 2024 as presented.
Second.
Motion by motion by Lisa, second by Mary. Roll call vote. Lisa?
Is there any discussion?
Oh, sorry. Is there any
No, it's okay.
discussion? I'm sorry.
Well, I wanted to ask a question about negotiations. There isn't an issue with the president being on that, is there?
No,
Okay,
No.
I couldn't remember if there was.
Terry was on it for years when
Okay,
he was.
that's right.
Yep, he was.
Yep, all right, that's all I had.
Yep.
Any more conversation? Now we'll go. Lisa?
Yes.
Hope?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jason, yes. JW?
Yes.
And Bobby?
Yes.
Consider moving the date for the February 2024 regular board meeting from the scheduled date of Tuesday, February 6th to Monday, February 12th.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mary, second by Hope. Conversation or discussion?
I don't have any.
Mary, do you have any comments?
No, I like things to be the same, second Monday of the month.
Right on. All right. Hearing no more, we'll go ahead, roll call vote. Hope,
Yes.
Mary, Sorry.
Yes.
Jason, yes. JW,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
I usually do this
I
one.
move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Lisa, second by Mary. Roll call vote. Mary,
Yes.
Jason, yes. JW.
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Hope.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0. We are adjourned. I joined.
Such a quick thing.